Welcome to Office Hours. I am Steve Drost. With me, as always, Will Kaplan. Of course, me and Will both from the Quivr team. What is Quivr? We are the CRM built by financial advisors for financial advisors. And at Quivr, our objective is incredibly simple. How can we help you run your business at peak efficiency? Each episode, we tackle a couple of cool items that came directly from our users who are trying to do just that, make their lives a little bit simple. I think, Will, that there's a story that's become a little bit notorious inside of the Quivr community. I get picked on it by users at office hours, and it is the Steve almost fired his mom almost quit from Steve when he first launched his firm. And I'm not shy about it. It's true. And I'm a practitioner of extreme ownership where everything is my fault. And it was my fault. I was a terrible, terrible manager, supervisor, employer. I'd never done it before. My mom had no experience in the industry, so she didn't know what she was doing. But again, it was my responsibility to educate her, train her, and teach her, the Steve way of doing things. Fortunately, she's still an employee, but that's a real issue, right?
You guys made it through. Yeah, no, I think it is part of the Quivr lore. Like, it's kind of institutionalized at this point that like you guys went through that. And I think it's part of what makes Quivr good is that we're taking real life issues that advisors face. Cause like, you're not alone that you've had. I mean, when I was running my firm, I never wanted to hire because of the issues that like, you and mom went through. And I think there's some things where maybe as family, you can have those conversations and some of them are easier. And there's things that as family, you can't have those conversations and it makes it so much harder. Like it just, depends a little bit on your family. But no, I do think that it's a big part of like where Quivr came from in the Quivr lore. And I think I like the story. I think it's a great story, but the
You
topic.
like it. I'm glad you liked it because it wasn't very fun at all.
I'm sure it was terrible. No, at the time, like going through it, it was awful.
But the whole point of sharing that story today is there's been a common theme with newer firms over the last 6 months, maybe, or even some of our existing firms who have been with us for years who are growing. And I've heard it a few times, and I think it's a really good idea. And we've always pointed them in the right direction. Well, I think the right direction, but I wanted to bring it up to everybody today. And that is using Quivr's systems, workflows, etc., for training employees. What we've seen people do is right inside of the community, we have that new user onboarding course. If you're a firm of 15 people or even 5 people or 2 people and you hire somebody after you're established on the system, yes, that new user onboarding course is helpful, but there are sections in there that are not applicable. Simply not applicable. They're not going to have to look at the integration section because you're done with that. They're not going to, like, there's certain things that they don't need to do, but there are certain things that they do need to do. And then if you take that one step further, are you hiring a CSA? Are you hiring an advisor? Are you hiring a paraplanner, a marketing associate? Who are you hiring? And based upon who you're hiring, they need to know different things. For example, if I was a firm of 15, I would not have my advisors learn how to build workflows. I don't want them in there. I want my advisors to follow workflows. I don't want them to build them. But if I'm hiring an operations manager or a CSA or a back office person, I want them to know how workflows work. I want them to be empowered to go in and add things to the task steps. So when we look at this hiring process and, they're onboarded and we're trying to train them up, what better way than create workflows for training individuals by role?
Yeah. And I think it's such a great way to repurpose some of the functionality that's already in Quivr. One of the things that like a lot of the times we talk about with new users is we've given you a firm record. And that firm record is to help document all the stuff that you do for the firm. This really isn't that different. Like we're documenting the steps that we're taking to train employees for the firm. It's in that same kind of philosophical spirit of we're working on the practice and in the practice. There's kind of those two sleeves of stuff that you have to do. And not only are you then, training this person, but you're also keeping track of like all of the things that we've trained on. And if you feel like you don't understand something, it gives that user the ability to go back and go through that again if they want to on their own. Like, I don't remember how to do this inside of Quivr, or I don't remember, and you can extend it beyond Quivr too. Like, I mean, here's how some of the stuff in Schwab works. And I don't
Not only
necessarily want.
Schwab, like my mom sends documents securely all the time. If she quit tomorrow and I hired a new person, I would want a section in there simply titled like how to send things securely to clients. And it'd be a video of me doing it and just saying, like, we use Ignite. You go to here, you right click on this, you hit more options. Like, I know how to do it, but the other person does it. So if I Ignite, I'd have content in there on Ignite. I'd have content in there on eMoney, just explaining what eMoney is. eMoney is our financial planning tool. This is what we use it for. This is why we have it. Give a 3-minute video in my own words, explaining to that person how eMoney fits in. Because when I hired my mom, That was one of the biggest challenges that she had. How does everything work together? Steve says, we are getting new 401ks and we need to update it in the planning system. What's the planning system? Oh yeah, that's e-money. Plan. As an advisor, how do I get into Plan? How do I view a tax return? How do I upload a tax return? I mean, all of these things that you're doing in your company. Hell, you could have a video talking about your summer Friday office hour, like your summer Fridays at your company. These are the expectations on when we want you to be in at work. And on Fridays as a CSA, you get to leave at noon. If anything you want to get to your team, do it. EOS, a lot of our users use EOS. Have a section or a step in this workflow explaining how, based on the team that they're in, how their EOS, how their L10 works, how the rocks work, who their manager is, what documentation they're expected to follow, what all of the words mean. Because if you don't know EOS and you're getting into an EOS firm, what's a rock? What's an L10? I had to read a book about this when I was at a firm, and that book took a really long time. It would have been nice if I had a 6-minute explanation video telling me what I needed to do. I mean, in reality, I went to Spark Notes, right? I didn't actually read the book. Not that that surprises anybody listening to this, but just think about all of the things that people inside of firms have been doing for forever, but you have somebody new who might not even know what these things are.
And one of the last firms that I work at, their training material was phenomenal. Like, I was so impressed coming in as an advisor where it was structured, they had a formal system, it was all video and text based, much the same way that like our training material is now. And you could really just sort of go through it like coursework and really understand like, here's how we use 1Password to get you logged into all of the places that you need to log into. Like you got to get into eMoney, Plan, Black Diamond, whatever it is. Here's how 1Password manages all that for our firm. It was such a great, concise, this is how it works. Now you have someone like you've at least heard about it before. You may not be an expert at this point, but at least you know where it came from. Like that level of training is crucial to really having good, solid procedures, good, solid, well-trained employees. And the beauty of this, I mean, I'm sure this is the case for you now. A lot of the stuff that your mom is doing, she's now the expert. Like she's the one that really understands it. And if you were to like, how do we do this thing? You don't do it every day. He does it every day. And so she's probably even figured out in some cases a better way to do some of this stuff. And so being able to like have that training material close by and accessible and current is so important because if you had to replace mom, heaven forbid, you would need to train that next person and having like a lot of that information that, you can sort of look close by, but editable in an easy way. Cause, I think like jumping into Archer and changing a workflow, like that's not that difficult. Like it's just so powerful for our firms and it's an easy thing to just overlook or an easy thing to forget.
Yeah, this is going to have to become a masterclass. The more we talk about this, the more I'm thinking about it. Well, for example, at my old firm where I used to work, I would say we did very good planning. One thing that they were struggling with, and I think is in a really good spot now, is that I was a part of the first next generation. So the partners, the founders, right? They've been doing it for forever. They knew how to do it. They had the, quote unquote firm way of doing everything. And something that they struggled with was now me and the other guys and gals, like we had all, we're all CFPs and, we thought we knew everything. We got the book smarts, but we didn't know how they wanted things done. How cool would it have been if I had a workflow assigned to me and it was this is the way that we review and present estate plans. This is the way that we review and present tax return analysis. This is the way that we do life insurance reviews. So now I get a workflow assigned to me as a paraplanner, and maybe once a quarter I get a new one. And over the course of 1 or 2 or 3 years, I am learning the firm way of doing all of these things. So not only are you training me on how to log into things and how to enter data and how to just feel like I belong in the firm, now you're training me for that promotion. You're training me for that next thing that I need to know. And a lot of compliance officers, when we get new firms on the platform or we're doing demos, they're ripping their hair out because everybody does things so differently and regulators don't like that. So what if you had a way, hey, I'm training my first paraplanner, or I have a paraplanner who's ready to get promoted. Perfect. Your next job for the next 3 months is document how we do everything. That way, when we hire to replace you, you don't have to train that person as much, and they're going to learn directly from you how we do things. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited about this. This one's long. Sorry, Will. When you started talking about that, I got excited. I'm going to have to make a masterclass. Don't give me a timeline on it, but I'm adding that. I'm adding that to our list. But But that's a wrap. Good stuff as always. If you guys can't tell, we get really, really excited about this. If you're a Quivr user, please come to office hours. Please present us challenges that you're facing because odds are we have a way to at least point you in the right direction to alleviate some of that stress and make your firm and your job just run a little bit easier. If you're not a Quivr user, that's okay. Remember, nobody's perfect. Everybody makes mistakes, but it's okay. Come schedule a demo. Come hang out with me. Come hang out with Will and see what Quivr can do for yourself.